Now, when I first moved to Denver back in the fall, I ran up the steps at an Air Force football game. I was gasping for breath. My first experience with the high altitude. It always pays trouble for the visiting teams. But how does it help the home athletes? Well, our Julie Brahman answers that question and more.
Nene's always looking for a way to improve his basketball game, but his latest technique isn't practicing a jump shot. It's training he could do in his sleep, literally. Nene recently just bought a tent system from Colorado Altitude Training based in Boulder. It's a way to improve his endurance, and so far, so good.
Help to breathe more, you know, get more gas. It's good. It's a future. It's for future. I invest in my future, you know, my body is help.
The tent may look strange, but the company's concept is simple. Living and training at high altitude improves speed and endurance because the body increases the blood's oxygen carrying capacity, thus helping the athlete be more efficient. But not everyone can train at high altitude, so that's where the tent comes in. It has a simulated altitude of 9,000 feet. Basically the equivalent of being in Summit County. Although Nugget strength and conditioning coach Steve Hess hasn't used the tent, he says it has possibilities.
Conceptually, it's a brilliant concept because, as I say, if you're sleeping at a higher altitude, your body has to become to that high altitude, and then if you walk at that high altitude, you become more efficient. So conceptually, it sounds amazing.
The tent's benefits are twofold. One, it can acclimate someone to high altitude before an athletic event, and it serves another purpose any athlete would be interested in.
Our motto is live high, train low. If you sleep in altitude and then train at low altitude, you actually increase your aerobic capacity and improve your endurance. So for endurance athletes, it's a tremendous boost.
And Nene isn't the only one to use this system. Quite the opposite. Lance Armstrong has had a portable system for years, as do some players from other major league sports. The company plans on marketing entire training rooms to teams in the future. With basketball being such a competitive sport, you would think any edge would be an advantage. And even though the Nuggets may be used to high altitude, visiting players are not.
That's not a fallacy, it's a physiological fact. Because of the fact that the altitude is different here, there's less oxygen available to carry your working muscles. So it's a physiological fact that if you play at altitude and you're from sea level, you're at a definite disadvantage.
A disadvantage some athletes hopes works in their favor. Julie Brahman, Altitude Sports and Entertainment.